Hi, welcome back to our tutorial series on Adobe Illustrator CS2. We have arrived at Lesson 2. I have elected to skip over Lesson 1. I would suggest that it might be a good idea for you to have a page through in your textbook. It gives you a bit of an idea of getting to know what the work area is, what the actual various tools are called, how to use your palettes, views, zoom in and out. I assume that you have some ability to do that also from working with Photoshop, and hopefully we can pick it up as we go through working with our future lessons here also. I'll try to emphasize where the tools are found as we work through these subsequent lessons. Lesson 2 is essentially a training session here, and we're going to be working on the various selection tools, grouping, ungrouping, cloning items, locking, hiding, saving selections, using tools to create shapes, copy shapes, rulers, guides, grids, etc., and using selection tools to select and change parts of objects. I already have the Lesson 2 Start 01 file open. You can find that on the U drive, Adobe CIB, um, Illustrator Lessons, Lesson 2. You'll notice that there is two selection tools on the top. One is called Direct Select Tool, and the other one is called Selection Tool. The black fill-in is called the Selection Tool. And as we go over an object, you can see that there's something to select. That's what the little black box means. If we click on the upper left one, it gives us a bounding box. Bounding box means we can transform it, stretch it. If you hold Shift or Alt or Control, that will also make a difference in how your shape interacts. If you flip it across, you can turn it, rotate it, skew it, do quite a few things with this bounding box. If we hold Shift and click, then we will have two of them. And we can move these wherever we like. And we can go select, deselect, or click off in an unopened, unused portion of the workspace or off the workspace to deselect something. And if we don't really like what we have, we can hit the F12 key to revert to our saved image, and that should bring us back to where we started. Direct Select Tool. If I click at the top of it, you'll notice that there's a little empty box that says anchor. An anchor is the end of a line, and that dictates where a line starts or stops. And if you click and drag it, then you can change the position of where the line starts and stops. And obviously then the lines that are connecting it must also grow or shrink, expand or contract in order to accommodate the change of your anchor point. So playing with anchors, you can do quite a few different things with your objects. So now we're on page 59 in our book. And as we click through, the other thing you notice is you can click a path in between. So that's another way, but when you do click a path in between, you change both anchor points. And we're going to revert to our selection again, hit F12. Next step here, you can click and drag like this, pick all of the objects, axe all together, Click and drag like this, so you only pick up the top pieces, and you can work with multiple selections here. Hold the shift key, and you can probably work with multiple anchors at the bottom here. I kind of like that, so I'm not going to revert at this point. Grouping items, click, shift click, object, group. They'll be together now, so if I click one in the object, it'll automatically pick them all up. If I hit shift click here, I can go object group, and this one is added to the top group. And I can continue to do that all the way till I've finished creating a nested group or groups within a group. As we work, so now they're all in a group, and then so if I click any object in this group, it picks them all up. Use my direct select tool. There's a group selection tool. Click on the first star, it'll allow you to work inside the star. Click again. There comes the second group. There's our third group, and there's our last group. We can do object ungroup, which will split them all off back to normal. And apparently we'd have to repeat it to finish it up all the way. So I'm going to close this file. I'm not going to save my changes. Might be a good idea for you to save your changes though, so you have a record of the fact that you've actually done it. And we're going to move on to stage 2. Open. So we have a dog to create. Finished image is over on the right. Unfinished image is over on the left. We can use a selection tool to move parts into place. And apparently it wants us to hide the pellets, which I don't particularly like to do, but that doesn't really matter. You can just close them. And if you need to, you can always go back to window and set them up again. So we're supposed to use the selection tool to drag the ears, the crown into place. We're supposed to lock the dog's head so when we accidentally click on it, it won't shift on us. The mouth contains 2 pieces, so we could shift click to pick them together. We could also group them. And put the mouth into place. We're going to pick the hair here, except I want to use the direct selection tool without the plus, so click beside it. I'm going to grab the top corner here and pull this one out. I'm going to bring this one in a bit. Bring this one in a bit and down. Thin this crown area up a bit. Bring this one up a little tiny bit. I grabbed the path there accidentally. If you need to zoom in to see better, you can always hit Z on the keyboard. Bring that anchor down just a touch. If you're happy with it, whatever you like, hit Control 0 to zoom back out again, same as in Photoshop. I'm going to go to the eye tool. use the selection tool. Click off so you got nothing selected. If you're careful, you can draw a box around, a marquee box around using the selection tool. It'll pick it all up. We're going to go object group so that those things stay stuck together. We're going to drag this into position for a left eye. Then we're going to hold Alt and we're going to drag it over. And if you hold Shift, it'll keep it going horizontal. And you can let go and then you have a right eye. And then we need to move the nose into place. And we will be done. And you can save this or not as you choose. Probably saving, it's a good idea. Then again, you have a record that you've done part 2. I'm going to close this one. I won't save the changes. File open. And we're going to move on to lesson part 3. Let's open that one. And we have the French fries here. So we want to go to Window, and we want to see our swatches. We want to go to Window, and we want to see our stroke. So we have the words French fries. We use the selection tool, object, hide, selection. Can't see them, can't work with them, can't hurt them. Select any yellow star. Select, same. Fill and stroke. Fill boxes forward here. Select white from the swatches palette. Select one of the shapes carrying, or so step 4, select one of the shapes creating the French fries. Select, same, stroke weight. Stroke weight box, you can type in 5 and hit enter. Leave selected. Select, save selection, 5-point stroke. And click OK so that we can use that same selection later on. Select and deselect. Select, 5-point stroke, and it brings it up again. And object, show all, we'll bring back the French fries. I just give you a basic rundown of how you can use the selection tool or selection menu to pick similar types of objects and modify them the same way at the same time, saving you a bunch of time. In the last section here, we will be building using a tool to actually build an object using the Adobe Illustrator tools. So we're building an object from scratch. So I'm going to close this one. I won't save the changes. And I'm going to go to New. Our artboard setup. And it wants us to use inches and supposed to leave the artboard set up like that and leave the default sitting there. We can click OK and then go File, Save As, Pencil. There's one in there already. And I'm going to leave the Illustrator options alone as default. And apparently we won't use those, but I'll leave them open anyways. I'd like to see them. View. We're going to show the grid. See the rulers already. And file document setup. We're going to be working in inches. Okay. Over the page. This top area here is selection tools and manipulating things inside your image. This area here is the section of your main toolbar that actually allows you to create things. We've already used the type tool. We've used the rectangle and rounded rectangle tool. We are going to be using a rectangle tool a lot. It does say that you can take this toolbar and if you hold down the mouse tool and then drag the tear off, you can actually take this bar and set it apart. I haven't personally seen the use for that, so I just like to work off the main bar and just leave it on the side here. If there's going to be extra toolbars, it'll be the pallets on the side. Zoom, it says about 150, and that'll by default bring you into the middle of your area, I think. And view smart guides. It's turned on already. Window transform. I'm going to move that one over here underneath my other ones so I have a open space to work. Rectangle tool. The other way to draw them in is actually click and drag. And we want a rectangular tool that is 0.75 by an inch. So about 3/4 way. And there you go. It's pretty close. And window, there's an info palette in here too. If you set that one down there as you click and drag, these things here will automatically update. And if we want 1.75 in that one there, we can actually type in the 1.7.75 and it will actually change that. And we automatically updated that as per step 5 on page 70. So that's done, or at least I did that. Rectangle tool is still selected. Position the pointer over the center point of the rectangle. Hold down Alt. And I was using the rounded rectangle tool. I probably should have been using the regular rectangle tool, so I better do that again. And it wants us to set it up like that. Did I do that wrong? Yeah, I got that mixed up. Let's fix that. It wants a height of 1 inch on that. It wants a height of 1 inch on this, and the width of 0.75. And we'll take our selection tool and we'll shift this over here. And I'm going to hold my Alt so I bring it down just a tiny bit. Oh, that's too much. Something like that. And there we go. So now we have two rectangles on top of each other. And that brings us to step number 7, rounded rectangle tool. Let's get rid of that. Click once on the artwork. We want a 0.75 in the width and a 0.75 in the height. Tab, 0.75, and corner radius 0.2, and enter or OK. And view. We'll hide bounding box. Selection tool. Set it like that. Creating a band for our joint between the eraser and the pencil. We're going to be using the rounded rectangle box again. The width is 0.85, height is 0.1, corner radius 0.05. Selection tool. Move it over. Band still selected. Hold Alt, drag it down, and I'm putting in 3. I'm not sure if that's what it wants. I'm going to nudge it with the arrow key so that the lines stack nicely. That looks pretty nice. You can always zoom in to check it. Maybe that's a little bit much. Something like that. Control minus a couple of times. Going to be working on the point of the pencil now. View. We want outline view. So we're going to go to the polygon tool. Center point of the two rectangles right there. Click to start drawing. Down arrow 3 times to make a triangle. Rotate the arrow to the top. Try to get it straight. being a little fussy here because it's grabbing that third ring. Maybe a disadvantage of the smart guides. I think it's probably about as good as I'm going to get. Hold down the space bar. You can move the triangle down. Maybe that'll help us. There we go. Now you can shift it down. When you're happy with where it is, you can let go of the mouse button and your triangle is in. With the triangle still selected, click the scale tool. So my triangle is still selected. Scale tool. Click the center point. Seeing the transform box there, not seeing the scale box. Oh, there's a scale right down there. So let's try this again. Direct select tool, scale box, and we should be able to there we go, double click, not click. 30%. And we want to, instead of clicking OK, we want to hit copy. And we're going to use the arrow key and we'll just nudge it down to the bottom here. And there you go. And we're going to use the line segment tool. I'm going to click, hold shift. I'm going to cross and release it. And you have an outline of a pencil. And if you want to, you can come in and you can actually start to color your objects. Fill them up with yellow or whatever you want. Just set the appearance. And by the way, we're in outline view, so if you had preview, you'd actually see the fact that you did change the thing. You can make it whatever colors you want. And there's pink for the eraser. There's a nice orange color for the band. There's a bit of a wood color for that. And let's see, nice graphite color for that. Maybe we should take that pink color. Be nice to tone it down a tiny bit. Or maybe we should take our wood color and make it a little more brown. And there you've colored your object. Now the other thing I'd like you to notice is that it's a solid color. There's no reflections or anything on it. If you wanted to do that, you might want to consider using the gradient tool or something else to dress that up. But anyways, that's enough for this lesson. That brings us through to the end of lesson 2. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you back again for lesson 3 when we start talking about transforming objects and actually making graphical designs. Have yourself a great day.